So Hayden, today there was a Nintendo Direct and it was fine, but then they very deliberately went out of their way to hide an avalanche of horrible news that they knew would make nobody happy that came out in the hours after the Direct. And we were in a full-scale panic messaging each other.
Yeah, we were.
Over various details about the Switch 2.
Yeah.
I might have even said that I wasn't going to buy the thing. I was going to take a stand, and I was going to be the one to stand up to Daddy Nintendo and not buy this thing, which I have since cooled down, and of course I'm going to fucking get it.
You,
of course.
me, and several other people were like, I was just like, I'm not even going to... Oh, there's a link to, get in line for my pre-order. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get in line because I don't want to.
I'm not going to do it.
If my mind changes, which it tends to do if I'm being honest with myself, I at least want to get in the line for pre-order. And then it's kind of like working our way back and like towards like right before we found, I was like, I'm actually pretty fucking hyped. But...
So one of the main things everybody wanted to know was the price, of course, and they danced around it the whole presentation, and that's because... everything, like including the system, the games, the accessories, pretty much everything was about 20% more expensive than we expected.
Yes. Pretty much like
just
on
across the board.
Quite more expensive. And, it's so funny because rewatching the Switch 1 presentation yesterday, they open with the price.
Yes.
And it was just
they were not afraid of it.
Like, we're embracing this. They were proud of it.
They are proud it was $300, even if Arlo was not happy.
Neither was Damiani.
Ironically, Arlo didn't give a shit this time. I listened to his reaction, and he's like, I
made enough,
YouTuber.
fucking money off the Switch 1 that I think I can afford myself.
I think I can. Exactly. But yeah, it's $450 with no game, $500 with Mario Kart.
Yeah.
And one of the largest sources of panic for me, which has since subsided, was a screenshot that was making the rounds of the Italian website, which showed a €10 difference between the digital and physical versions of the game.
Yes.
The physical would have been $90 and the digital would have been $80.
Yeah, so that was the thing that was that was sending me into a full-scale panic because I was just like...
Same.
$90.
Yes.
The last big game that Nintendo released was Tears of the Kingdom. Like, that's the last big game. And that one, it was news that it went up to $70.
Exactly.
And, we haven't even gotten a big game since. And, the next big game is $80. But if I want it physically, it's $90?
Yeah, the thing is, it's a fucking Mario Kart game. It's not even like a gamer's game. It's like a game for your mom that they wanted to charge $90 for.
I will say, in this instance, this Mario Kart looks the most gamer's game of any Mario Kart ever.
Oh, I think it looks amazing, but it wasn't so much the price. The fact that it was $80, I'm like, you know what? I could swallow that pill. It was the fact that we had finally reached the point, it seemed like, where they were going to charge more for the physical version. And I go physical for everything. I fucking hate buying things digitally. I just like having the trinket, if nothing else.
I think what's funny though is that even $80, this is a actually substantial savings if you're getting the bundle here.
Yes. Yeah.
Which and if you're gonna have one digital game, it might as well be this Mario Kart that seems to be just come and hang out,
I mean, my plan when they first announced the two SKUs in the Direct was like, oh, I think I can afford, because we were under the impression we were only going to save $10, because if the game was $60 and the system's $450 to $500, I'm like, I'll pay $10 for the physical version.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd pay $30 for the physical version.
It kind of feels sad because it feels like they're trying harder and harder to get us to not buy their physical games.
Yeah.
And, and speaking of negatives, when we saw what the Switch 2 box art looks like, hideous.
Well, no, first off, I want to say it looks like as of 10:45 p.m. the day of, that it was fake news and that they're not going to charge more for physical because we have...
Well, they are in Italy, but in America, they seem to be...
Yeah, in America, it seems like it's going to be the same.
It's kind of the Wild West. I think that's part of the reason they didn't get into the price is because the prices are different everywhere.
Yeah, I mean... everybody was messaging me, and this was coming up in all the Discords, and I'm like, I was huffing some serious copium, and I'm like, Italy is like a second world country. Maybe it's just a special case for them.
I mean,
sorry to
United
all
States
of our
is
Italian
borderline
fans.
second world at this point. I don't know.
I mean, we're you know, we're like the core country. Like they wouldn't fuck us as hard as they fuck them, right? And it turns out it was kind of right. I'm basing this off of Walmart is the one I saw put their listings out for the games, and it was not. It was 80, not 90. So that's what I'm going off of.
But yeah,
so it seems like they're going to be regular.
That and you know, like that number, you'd see 90 on every forum. That's what everyone was talking about. They're like, no.
Yeah.
Everyone universally agreed.
Yeah.
That's too much. Too much.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it would have been.
Yeah. And
80, still probably too much. But when you think it's going to be 90 and then it's 80, it softens the blow a little.
Another full-scale panic that most people went into was there was the image making the rounds screenshotted off of Nintendo's website about what like a Game Pass kind of card is, where the game is not actually on the physical version. And it was like people were worried, myself included, for a brief period, that this is every game. None of the games are going to have it. You're going to have to download the game. And so like your physical games are going to be worthless when the servers shut down and the eShop shuts down and you can't get your game anymore. But it looks like
you linked me that, and I thought about it for a second, and I'm like, wait, that doesn't make sense, because in the Direct, they went out of their way to state that the new cards have more storage space and they're faster.
Yes.
So they would not have done that in the Direct if their plan was to just sell you empty shells.
Yeah, and it's a case-by-case basis. Now, there is still the lingering fear that more and more developers are going to opt to do this, and we've already seen two.
This is
Street Fighter 6 and Bravely Default. They're fake physical games. They're not real physical games.
Yeah. This is EA. EA is going to do this.
Yeah.
I mean, random re-releases of a Street Fighter game are going to do this. Square Enix, though, a little surprising, honestly.
Yeah.
A little surprising to me, anyway, because I mean, they did that with Kingdom Hearts, I think, but I don't think they did that with any other Switch 1 product, right?
Now, it does add an extra ugly, giant disclaimer to the box.
It does. Which it did on the Switch 1 as well, because we have to remember that this basic idea was around for the Switch 1. Yeah. It just wasn't used that much.
Mm-hmm. So, you know, those were two major points of panic, and I think
I had plenty more.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're going to get into it. A lot of people, so if we're talking about disappointments, let's rewind a little bit. Most of the disappointments happened after the Direct. However, there were disappointments during. The first L of this Direct was easily that Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour is paid. Come on.
Baffling.
Come on.
Nobody can make sense of this.
Are you okay, guys? Like, are you all right? Because, like, you really think that this is worth, it's literally insulting. It's insulting.
I am going to get it just so I can talk about it either here or on my channel.
Okay. I mean, it might pay for itself if you talk about it on your channel. If you talk about it on here, it's
maybe
probably not worth it.
Well, I plan on doing a vlog or something of when it comes out.
Okay.
So if that's a part of that, then I can justify it in that way.
Yeah. Well, so here's a disappointment for me. This was a big rug pull. The new From Software exclusive Nintendo Switch game is not a big epic RPG. It is a PvPvE Elden Ring Night Rain type experience. And it, you know, even before that was confirmed, though, when I just looked at the game, I was like, my literal first thought was like, this looks like Bloodborne. And my second thought was, it can't be. And my third thought was like, after seeing the From Software logo, I was like, this looks, it looked like, my thoughts, honestly, watching this trailer was like, I love From Software, but I'm not going to buy this. Like, even if it is like a big RPG, when I saw it, I literally thought it looked ugly to me. It really did.
What? You're fucking nuts. Okay,
I thought it looked ugly.
Here was my roller coaster through this. I see the guy, and I'm like, huh? And then they start talking about blood, and I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah.
That would be extraordinarily funny and trolly if the only port of Bloodborne was to the fucking Switch.
Yeah.
Because everybody's been asking for it to come to the goddamn PC since it came out, really. It would be so fucking funny, and I would revel in it so much that I was so hyped to see that it was going to come to the Switch. Because, like, yes, it's not even going to fucking perform any better. Fuck you.
Yeah,
I just think that would be really funny. So I'm like, yes, it's a port of Bloodborne. And then as they started showing more things, I'm like, wait a second, that train's not in Bloodborne. Like, that church is not
There's
in
no
Bloodborne.
jetpack in Bloodborne.
Yeah, when it got to the jetpack is when I stopped thinking it was Bloodborne.
Yeah.
But, like, before that, I'm like, oh, is this Bloodborne 2? That's interesting that Nintendo would get the reveal for this, because there's no way it would be an exclusive.
Yeah.
And then they showed, like, the jetpack and the dragon, and I'm like, oh, I guess this probably isn't Bloodborne. It's probably
Yeah.
just something new.
They did go out of their
And then-
way to name drop Miyazaki.
Yeah,
That was
they
interesting.
did.
They're like,
And-
hey, just so you know, we know this doesn't really matter, but you guys talk about A-Team, B-Team type bullshit. It's the A-Team. But is it?
Yeah, I thought
don't know.
I thought it looked hype as fuck. I thought it looked incredible. I'm like, oh, this is the biggest announcement of the show.
Yeah.
And then after it came out, it's like, oh no, this is some PvP bullshit.
Yeah, it's funny though, because like when they announced at the Game Awards Elden Ring Night Rain, they were very
Yeah.
upfront with the fact that like this is not
Yeah.
a typical. They really concealed this. They
Yeah.
did. They were not,
Well,
in a Carl Jobstist way, sort of like kind of lying by
Hid the goat.
omission. Like, what is
Yeah.
this game really about? Is it about, I'm not going to get into that now. I'm not going to.
well, I will say that this went from the by far, like pretty easily the most exciting thing in the direct to something I do not care about.
Yeah,
Which
don't
sucks.
care at all, basically.
They like flip the switch. It's like instant day one, I'm hyped, gonna play through the whole game, definitely, to, oh, there's no chance I'm getting this.
Yeah.
I don't care.
And we're both big FromSoft fans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like, oh shit, this means, like, when I thought it was Bloodborne 2, I'm like, oh, this gives me an excellent excuse to replay Bloodborne, because I played it in, like, fucking 2018 or something.
Yeah.
It's been a while, so, like, it could go for a replay. I barely, like, remember any specifics
Yeah.
about it.
Another thing from the Direct, first party Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive experiences were thin. We got 3 big ones mainly.
Yeah.
First of all, okay, no one cares about Hyrule Warriors. No one cares about Hyrule Warriors.
No,
that looked like ass.
exactly.
I think
Lame.
people have largely, no one mentioned it. I don't think anyone even remembers that it was in it.
Yeah.
So that doesn't count.
anti-hype. Don't care.
And it's also not first party, but it just uses first party IP. The big
Exactly.
3 are Mario Kart World, Kirby's Air Riders, and Donkey Kong Bonanza. And
Kirby is a full tier down in terms of, like, bigness of the announcements, I would argue.
Kirby is even kind of like, so like, I think Air Ride, this was just the wrong place to show Air Ride, because
Yeah,
we already
if they
have
were in the
Mario
last
Kart. Like, what are
Direct.
we like? Oh, I can't. What am I gonna race in? Mario Kart or Kirby? It's like probably gonna be Mario Kart. Now I'll still probably, not even probably, I like 100% have to buy Kirby's Air Ride. So
Yeah. Are you a fan of that game?
I've never played the other one.
Oh,
but I am
okay.
obligated to buy this one.
That was a childhood game of mine because I couldn't afford Mario Kart Double Dash because it was like $50, and Kirby's Air Ride was only 20. So I got Kirby's Air Ride, and like kid me had fun in the free roam mode,
Yeah.
but the game itself is fucking awful.
Well, it's funny
It is
too.
a
Like if we're talking
horrible
free
game.
roam,
I hate it.
look at Mario Kart.
Yeah. Well, Kirby's Air Ride had the free roam mode first.
Yeah,
so.
and so here's the other thing that's kind of like interesting about this. This could be viewed as kind of like a negative thing because they specifically went out of their way, like Miyazaki, to attach
Yeah.
Sakurai to the project.
That is the excitement. If he wasn't attached to it, then like who would care?
If you are a big Sakurai fan, I think maybe you should kind of feel bad that he's working on this because opportunity
Why?
cost, you're not getting him working on something that's probably more important and like a better use of his time.
The fans of Sakurai fucking love Kirby Air Ride. They think it's the greatest game ever made.
Do they really?
Yes.
Okay.
People really like it for some. I don't know why people like this game. I think it's like a bottom 20%
Yeah, and like
Nintendo
we have a
experience.
real 3D Kirby now, so it's not like oh, but it's like a 3D Kirby thing, you know?
Yeah,
But like,
I
you
don't
know, this
I don't
this
get it.
is confirmation like, okay, so he's not making a new Kid Icarus and he's not working on a new Smash, which he
Yeah.
already said he didn't want to, so fine. And he's not doing something new. We're going back and we're doing Kirby Air Ride from the GameCube. So I think like
Did you think this was Smash Bros when it was first on screen?
I
As a
thought
star?
the thought obviously crossed my mind. I thought, you know, like the first thing I thought of was I don't think it's Smash Bros, but it could be, and I I put on my Smash Bros armor, like, okay, this might be Smash. I'm gonna be open. Like the Splatoon Smash announcement, you know, when they showed,
Yeah.
I knew that was Smash immediately because they had just wrapped up talking about Splatoon, and then it was like more
Okay.
Splatoon, and it's like CG, and wait, it's Splatoon 1 colors. Something's not right, you know.
I knew it was Air Ride instantly, but the Discord chat I was looking at was like Smash.
Well, no, yeah, like,
And I'm like,
you
nah,
asked me,
it's-
I also suspected Air Ride. That was my first thing. Said it to Sakina
Yeah.
the second it came on screen, but that was my initial thought, and my second thought was like, I should be open here. It could be Smash, and Smash would be a lot more
Okay.
hype. And there's not a lot of time left in this direct. Now, Donkey.
Would Smash be more hype? Honestly, I think Air Ride is like one of those underground Nintendo things that just people fucking love.
I mean, I just listened to what you just said back for a second.
Yeah.
Would
you're
Smash
right.
be more hype? It's the hype beast Nintendo machine.
I'm so jaded on Smash that like it could like nothing Smash related can ever be hype for me again. But like you're right, that is on a like a grander scale. That is the hype.
Personally, I don't care about new Smash games. I have everything I want in the
Same.
first two. I could just play those games, and I probably will for the rest of my life.
And they did Smash Dirty, further proving that they're not going to put Smash on the N64 Mini. They did not in the little slideshow of GameCube games. Melee was not one of the games.
You're right that, you know, but like it could be on a GameCube Mini.
No,
Yeah, well,
they hate old Smash Bros. They fucking hate them.
they do. It's kind of sad, and like it's been that they hate old Smash Bros games, and they hate the people that play them. Play the new one. That's what they say. Play the new one. Stop playing that
Exactly.
old shit. Yeah. Anyway,
Well, it's like how they ruined Majora's Mask 3D because they hated the original game.
it's sad when some people kind of don't understand what makes a game so beautiful, even if they made it.
Yeah. The thing with Melee, though, is that the reason people like it basically are the flaws. Like, programming oversights are the reason why it's a competitive game.
Well, it's debatable what so it's like kind of 50-50 on certain things being oversights and certain things not. Some of them were mechanics that are present, like L canceling and stuff in Smash 64, and like no one can truly know whether or not it was on purpose or not, or if the developers were aware and decided to leave it in.
Well, something like wave dashing was definitely not intentional.
Well, you know,
No, there is no argument.
I think it was clearly not intentional, but I think that there's definitely a lot, like a very, it's probable that the developers were aware that something like this could happen through their QA testing. It's not improbable.
Maybe.
And I think that, like,
don't
you know,
know.
then it comes a decision on whether or not they want to include it.
No. I just think they just didn't fucking know.
Maybe, like, you know, but it's just speculation.
Yeah.
But
They didn't have like actual good people at the game because the game just came out, so people weren't good at
Yeah.
it yet, so
Yeah.
they weren't doing that.
True, but like just the process of testing the game, like, you know, the people that they have playing the game, running into walls, like seeing if it breaks, seeing what it can do, mashing buttons, like that's all a part of the development process. And I'm sure that like I think it's pretty likely they discovered these things and just decided to leave a lot of them in.
Well, anyway, yeah, as you were saying about like the first party Nintendo announcements, you said there were like 3 big ones.
Yeah.
I would argue there were 0 big ones.
Well,
There
you're
were
right,
there were
'cause
no
Mario
like
Kart was already
huge
announced.
announcements.
So like we're getting
Mario Kart
Yeah.
already announced.
And Donkey Kong, even if you look at the trailer, it's not doing numbers of a big. And everyone expected
It's
Mario.
not, yeah.
So when they started showing
Exactly.
Donkey Kong, I was like, Mario? And then I was
Yeah.
like, the colors aren't right.
I thought it was DK immediately.
Oh, I didn't. It wasn't until they showed the second screen after the first one that I was like, wait a second. Like if you look back at the first one, it makes it very obvious that it's Donkey Kong. It's funny too because if you like that initial Mario Odyssey trailer, they've got like Dixie Street, they've got Donkey Kong references, but it's a Mario Kart game or a Mario game, and then this one it's kind of flipped. But it seems there are a few concerns I have with this. First of all, it was kind of a negative that we didn't get a Mario game. Everyone expected it. It's been so long since Odyssey. If you were gonna have a Breath of the Wild-ish moment of a game people have been waiting for forever to see, and expected, people thought Odyssey 2 was a guarantee for the Switch.
Yeah,
and
exactly. I mean, I'm fine that it wasn't shown, honestly. Like,
well, they've got to be hiding something for the rest of the year. It's
think so.
I do. I
don't
think I think there's going to be a big holiday game. I think it's probably going to be Ocarina of Time. And I think that because in the audio portion they showed you listening to Epona.
Oh,
when the headphones they're talking about like the sound improvements, it's like you literally hear Epona. I'm like, are we getting Ocarina of Time? Is this happening? Because that was the one that we both agreed was probably the most likely to be the new remake.
I would say compared to the Switch 1 reveal, all of the announcements on this, at best, would be the fourth biggest one if they happened in the first one.
I agree. With the exception of, I think, because you can't really count Mario Kart because they already showed it. But if you do, I really think that Mario Kart was just a slam dunk.
If they had never shown like a new Mario Kart and we didn't already basically know going in about it, then I would agree. It would be up there with like the big ones from the first one.
But you're right. Nothing else in this Direct came close to the big announcements and the trailer and the hype and the excitement and surprise of that Switch 1 Direct.
That was a great trailer for the Breath of the Wild too. We rewatched it. Yeah,
it's like a top trailer of all time, especially with the Japanese voice acting, because like whoever they picked to do the old lady voice and the English one, I was like, ooh, this like kills it. This is awful. And I don't like the English Zelda voice either, and I don't like the English old man voice. It's good that game came baked in with like the different. Literally any other language is better than English.
You played it in Japanese. I played it in English.
I played it in several languages.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'd switch it just because it was nice. Like the French one is really nice too, and the Spain one was really really nice. But
all right, another big L, for this. The UI is unchanged. It is exactly the same.
So I guess now we can exit the Direct proper and talk about the things confirmed after. The UI. It was just bad news after bad news. Sucks, dude. That sucks.
Yeah. There's no other way around it. It. Like the fact that it is just, it's not, like, where's the magic of a new game system? It doesn't even feel real. It doesn't feel like it's a new thing if it's just the same UI.
Yeah.
It just feels like you're buying like a Switch OLED or something. It's like, oh yeah, I got a slightly better Switch.
Like it's rounded. It's got a new feel. The magnets are really cool. But like when you're set up, you're plugged in. It's in your TV, and it's just the Switch 1 looking ass menu again. It's kind of just like with one game in the corner. Like
they followed Xbox's lead. They're just like, you know what? We figured out the UI. We're not changing it.
Xbox is the trendsetter for everything that sucks in the game industry. Hey, paid online. Discs that don't have the game on it. They even tried to make it so you couldn't share games for a litest bit. That was the stupidest thing they did. Honestly,
another L.
Oh. There were a bunch of Xbox. This reminded me the backlash afterwards of the Xbox One.
A little bit.
Yeah, like
less severe, but yeah.
They were on top of the world with the 360, crushed it. And then they come out, because like Nintendo spiked and peaked, and then no one cared about the Wii by the end of that generation.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Xbox 360 kind of felt like they were the ones, like the favorites going into that gen, and then they botched it because they were kind of arrogant and they were trying to nickel and dime people, and Nintendo feels like they're trying to nickel and dime people. They're just... Yeah. And another thing that sucked too was like, you saw what could have been. You look over at Japan, it's like their Switch for just them is only $334.
This is a very fascinating point.
Yeah.
The fact that they have two SKUs in Japan.
Yeah.
The Japan only and the any language you want SKUs. And they intentionally made the any language you want SKU cost as much as the rest of the world, but the Japanese only one, for some reason, for a basic software difference, costs about $100 less.
Yeah. It pays to know Japanese. If I spoke Japanese, you bet your ass I'd be importing one of these. Like, I can read it, but I can't really understand it.
Well, this is just a pure anti-importing move. The fact that they're like, well, the rest of the world's pricing it at this, so we can't just have people buying the Japanese one. No. We need to put these gatekeeps in place just to, because they're not region locked.
Yeah.
They can't realistically do that because it's so reliant on the Switch 1's library of games, and that was not region dependent. So that would just fuck everything as far as like transferring over.
Yeah.
And that was kind of their way of doing it. Is they're like, we're just gonna have you cannot change the language on the Japanese Switch. So
yeah, if I lived in Japan, I would definitely get the Japanese Switch.
Yeah,
gonna
pay $100 less.
Yeah, I know. It's just kind of like, geez, man. I feel bad. Some of these countries, like if you do the conversions, definitely have it worse off than the United States.
Yeah, I mean,
paying outrageous amounts of money for these.
Yeah. I mean, we can go down the accessory list. Like everything was just like a little
the
too
prices
expensive.
Of everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually think I have that on my phone. Let me bring it up.
The Pro Controller looked pretty good to me, though.
Yeah, you know what? That is a positive, and this is mostly negative, but I thought the Pro Controller looked great. The extra buttons. It really looks like the Xbox Elite controller, which I have.
Here are the prices. Pro Controller, $80.
That's fine. It's fine.
All right. Two Joy-Cons, $90.
That stings. You're basically, after tax, you're paying $100 for...
Yeah,
Joy-Con.
I mean, I never bought spare Joy-Cons for my Switch 1. I never used them, so I don't care.
I did. Because I had drift issues,
How much were they? Were they 70 or 80? How much
80.
were they? Okay, so this is only a $10
and if I'm looking at them, they look $10 better, to be honest.
Yeah.
They really do.
I agree.
But it's still just like, they were overpriced to begin with. Like, controllers are outrageous.
The charging grip, $35.
That's so outrageous. That's so ridiculous.
It's a piece of fucking plastic.
It's a piece of plastic with the ability to put a USB in, and it sends the electricity of the USB to the Joy-Con. And you're charging like $35. $35 used to be how much a controller cost.
There is dollar store trash that is more intricate than this, which costs $5.
And that's part of the issue with buying more Joy-Cons sorry. It's like, okay, I bought my new Joy-Con. Oh, did we both want to play with two Joy-Con? Oh, I've only got one grip. So is the price $90 or is it like fucking $125?
If you want the wheels.
Huh? Oh, and
the wheels are only $20.
God forbid you want more of the wrist straps, then you're spending another extra $15.
You're a weenie if
the
you use
true
those.
cost of a new set of Joy-Cons is $150.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I mean, that's the big pill to swallow. Was going into this, I had budgeted about $600 for all the shit. It's probably going to be closer to like $800.
Yeah.
And that stings.
It stings. All of this sucks too if you're living in a place or a household in which it's pretty apparent you're going to have to buy two.
You're going to have to buy two? Oh,
yeah,
dear.
that was always the plan. And so now it's just like everything is just compounding. It's like, oh my dude, like,
yeah,
I'm gonna have to take out a second
everything.
mortgage to buy a Switch, one game, and my instruction manual. And I don't even have a first mortgage, so I'm pretty.
You got to take out a mortgage and then another one.
I don't even.
You got to take out one for each Switch. You got to take out two mortgages.
I'm gonna have to take out two mortgages just to get the Switch too.
I'm thinking about buying the webcam just for the memes, but $50 for this, like, come on now.
Yeah, so the chat thing was a mixed bag. It's funny because, like, who is going to play with
That's
the
another
webcam
L, by the way.
at 2 frames per second?
The fact that the screen shares were about 2 frames a second is such a big fucking... That's a disaster.
What a joke, yeah. So
It's like, look, we built Discord, but it's much worse.
yeah, like,
Here it is.
Okay. Now, I do think that like I will absolutely use this all the time, just not with all that added BS functionality. I really won't. I will never use the webcam, but I will use the chat. That sounds fun, especially in a game like Mario Kart. I love like you don't have to use 2 devices; you just use the Switch. Now,
much less of a pain than using the chat on the Switch one.
Little concerning to me is the always on microphone that can hear you from a distance and pick out your voice specifically. Not my favorite thing to be included.
I mean, the PS5 has that going on too.
Every device does, phones, right? Like, so like everything's listening and I don't like that, but it's just a little like, I just didn't expect Nintendo to also be listening.
Well, they are now.
Yeah, they are now.
I mean, they've always been the like super overprotective of kids.
Yeah,
and they're like, well, we have parental controls, so I guess we can just kind of do
nice
the chat
they seem
thing
to
now.
back off of that. It was always stupid that they took Swapnote down off the 3DS because like kids were messaging each other on that or whatever. It was just like they have parental controls on these devices. I used it all the time. It was so fun, and then they ruined it. So,
how much is an extra dock? How much do you think it is? Do you know?
It's
it's on the website. I'll tell you.
Okay, well let me make a guess. Because the original dock is like 80 for the Switch, so I'm just gonna say 95.
109.99.
Oh,
yeah, $110 for you on another dock.
$110 for like just something to plug a USB-C and an HDMI into is outrageous.
Well, did you see it? This one has Ethernet.
Okay, so does the OLED. So does the OLED dock. Actually,
does it?
That's a good question. How much was the OLED dock?
I could not tell you.
I'm gonna look it up.
They also have 2 official cases, like one big fancy one and like one small. You just fit the Switch in case. The big fancy one is 80 and the small one is 35.
Okay, I'm looking at an OLED dock set on Amazon right now that's officially Nintendo, and it is $59.99.
You're fucking with me. That's really funny.
But like, this is not being sold from Nintendo. I don't know what MSRP is on this. But the prices I'm seeing are not. Let me click on Nintendo's actual website. Okay, their suggested price is $69.99 for the white one. Dude, this is fucking 100. There's no way. There's no way that
110.
110.
That's what it says. That's what it says. It says 110. I'm on Nintendo's website right now.
Nintendo, speaking to you right. I know you're listening. First of all, I would just like to say, I respect your history and developers and the people who make the games tremendously, and like just corporate Nintendo though, guys, everyone hates you. No one likes you. All you do is ruin everyone's fun. You make everything that your actual talent does worse by existing. So
that's their job though. That's the whole point.
Yeah, I wish that they didn't exist, man.
Yeah, but then we wouldn't have a company because they would just go out of business.
Well, all the developers would still be making badass games.
Probably not, that they'd all be
not
homeless.
for Nintendo.
No, they would all be they'd all be just AI prompt engineers.
I just like there used to be a better balance of like business and fun at Nintendo, and that seems to be gone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was the time where if you bought a game, they just gave you a full other game for free because they were struggling that bad.
Oh, dude, yeah. I sent you the ambassador program image. I think it would be really funny if this tanked, and then because I feel like we're obviously gonna buy the Switch 2 no matter what. So, it'd be cool to be a second ambassador. I kind of root for it to fail. I guess I'd like another ambassador certificate.
They wouldn't do that again. Is the problem?
If it was really, really bad, like really bad, the problem
they
is
would
we already
come
know
up with,
it won't be really bad.
Here's what they would do. They would offer free online and slash the price. that there would be no ambassador, that's what they would do.
I'd take it.
Well, I mean, I take it too, but they wouldn't do something as cool as the ambassador program. They wouldn't be like, here's... Well, I mean, they couldn't anyway, because Game Boy Advance and NES games are already on the thing,
Yeah.
so they wouldn't... They'd have to think of something else.
Paid
but...
online sucks, and they haven't made it worth it.
Well, I mean, worth it in the sense that you cannot play online without it.
Yeah.
So it's worth it in that way.
Yeah, it's just like a totally unnecessary gatekeep, paying to use your own internet.
Yeah.
Most of their games don't use servers. It's peer-to-peer anyway, so it's just like, God, dude. It's only
I'm a
$20
sucker.
a year, but it's $20 too much.
I pay $50 a year just for the virtual console,
I don't.
like whatever. And the extra Mario Kart tracks, like that's worth it, I guess.
Yeah, I wish that I still get them basically, because you never play Mario Kart solo. Everyone plays online, and so I get them too.
So yeah, I mean, is that about all the negatives?
I can't think of any more off the top of my head. I think that's about it. They just felt so big because of the big scares. The big had the big scares
there was a lot of
panned
fear
out.
mongering. The thing is, the scares weren't as bad as they could have been. Like, physical games being $90 would have been really bad. I mean, $80 is still pretty bad. I mean, Donkey Kong is less than that.
That's
like,
true.
Donkey Kong is $70.
Yeah. I will say...
Oh, that's another negative.
looking at
Another
Donkey
negative...
Kong- Sorry.
Yeah, I hate the design. The design of Donkey Kong sucks.
I don't like the way he
That's a
looks
negative.
very much, honestly. I didn't mind
an
it
L.
so much when we initially talked about it for Mario Kart, but seeing
It's an
it...
L.
it's not his look, it's how he runs. I don't like his...
Okay.
I like the way Donkey Kong moves in Donkey Kong 64, you know?
Yeah. Another big L. It looks like they are divorcing Donkey Kong from his rare history. There is no Diddy Kong ain't in this game.
true.
Lanky Kong ain't in this game. None of his friends are in this game.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see on this one, obviously, but it does seem like they're...
I would be stunned.
Yeah, I mean, if K. Rool came back, that'd be sick. He was in Smash.
No.
Kremlins haven't
I don't
been
think
in
they're
it
doing
in
it.
forever, though. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. It does look different. The thing that strikes me though is I look at this and like the things that they are doing are crazy and awesome, like the gameplay mechanics.
Sure. We'll talk about talk about the trailer
But
itself.
this is circling around to something negative. It makes me a little concerned because I'm like, is this what the Odyssey team's been working on? Like, is this the next Mario? And there's not really a next Mario coming?
They've just been doing Donkey Kong.
Yeah, like I'm kind of a little concerned about that.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm not. I'll take both, please.
All
I
right.
guess. All right, yeah.
Well, I find this conversation shallow and pedantic.
Like and subscribe.